All right, I'm going. Give me a minute and I'll try to get everybody rounded up here.
Is everybody here familiar with these things? Or I guess a lot of you guys are, but okay. Well, let's start up front. We'll talk about the hydraulic system a little bit. I don't know much about them. So basically, you start there's 4 systems on these cars that run on hydraulics. We have the self-leveling suspension, power steering, the power brakes. In the case of this car, the shifting of the semi-automatic transmission is all done hydraulically. So we have our tank for our reservoir for the fluid. It's a special fluid only used by CITROENS, and then it was licensed to Rolls-Royce and Bentley later on. We have a high pressure pump way down in here. It's hard to see, and that feeds pressure to a pressure storage device called an accumulator that's buried way down on the right side of the engine block, or left side I should say, left side of the engine block. Then there's a bunch of other hydraulic components. The power rack and rack and pinion steering is there. These things here, these green things are called spheres. That's the entire suspension system, I guess, and shock built into one unit. It's basically nitrogen gas, a rubber diaphragm that acts against the hydraulic oil. So it's really a combination of the gas and the oil that provides the ride quality. Over here you have some other hydraulic components, and because this is a later car, this is like after 1966 roughly, they converted to a hydraulic fluid. Before that it was brake fluid, and the brake fluid had problems because it would absorb a lot of moisture, and over time it would damage your system. So this runs on hydraulic fluid, and basically, again, like I said before, the suspension, the self-leveling, the steering, the power brakes, and the semi-automatic transmission controls run on the high pressure hydraulics. Very soft suspension, but also very controlled on the highway. Very smooth riding. Probably the smoothest riding car really ever made. It's just incredible. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to show you how to change a tire without a jack. Then we're going to drive these things on 3 wheels. Okay, not at very high speeds though, just around the parking lot here. So because it's a Citroën DS, they don't come with a jack. Because you don't need a jack. You have a jack stand. So this is your jack, just a jack stand with a little, put the pin through to hold it up, and that's what supports the car when you change the tire. So I'm actually not going to put the spare on it. I'm going to show you how to take the tire off. Then we're going to drive around on 3 wheels, and you'll get the idea of how to change a tire without having to go through all the motions of it. So we're going to do the right rear, and those of you probably notice you can't get the tire off because the fender's in the way, right? So we got to fix that problem first. I don't want to run you over there. And Dave over here is going to do his car. I'm doing the passenger side, he's doing the driver's side. Same basic idea. You want to show him the correct wrench to use there?
This is the right wrench.
I don't have the right wrench.
Very carefully, unless you want to scratch your paint, you remove the one bolt only. Once you get it so far, you can remove it with your fingers. One thing I always do is I open my front door. That takes the disadvantage of putting a nick in it. Now it's pretty free to come off. Usually I would put something across here to protect the paint also. Or something like very similar to that rag. You'll notice there's 2 pins in the front of the fender here that locate the fender and align it to the door, so your alignment parts go on and off very easily, and usually with a little bit of encouragement back here, you can get your alignments and your gaps within reason, within CITROENS specs. Casually lift your fender up and clear the bumper. Get it away. And voila! You now have a. I don't know if anybody's ever picked up a rear fender for
They don't weigh anything.
DS. If you want to see it one way, step out in here and you pass it around carefully. It's not very heavy. And that's why they're not very subject. Oh look, it's pretty dirty to rust and dents. So I guess I'm not really sure what we're going to do with our fenders here.
We're going to put it over in the 10 area, I
That
guess.
would work for me too. I'll walk around through here and get rid of my fender somehow. You let me cut through.
Sure.
I still have a hubcap to take off. Okay.
They've already scratched it a couple times, so
I've done it too.
it's almost impossible not to. I'll get rid of it. Let me get rid of the fender.
I got a bail. You giving parts away, Paul? Oh no, they're taking the car apart.
Now it's a good time to check your return line on your fuel there.
See this here? That's what removes your hubcap. In my case, there's 3 connecting points on your wheel. And it's kind of important to know at least where one of those connecting points are that attach the hubcap to the rim, because that's the best place to take your first attempt at getting the hubcap off. Some come off easy, some come off hard. In my case,
Some come off while you're driving.
yeah, and sometimes they will do
I
that.
had some of those happen.
So I took the liberty of putting some marks on my rim where they're located.
Clever.
That was a good idea.
Very clever.
I didn't do that.
So I have a mark right here. We're going to try this guy. I throw that in behind only because of what it is.
Anal.
Again, yes. And that's about all it takes. Hubcaps off. You can see the connecting points here, here, and here. For those of you who have lost hubcaps, one of the tricks is usually because of the age of the car, they become rusted and rounded on the back. So I just take a small wafer grinder or something and just give it a little extra grind back there, something that'll allow the clips to clip in better. You do that, sometimes it makes it more difficult to remove a hubcap, but you're less likely to lose one going down the highway. So I'm going to stick this in the trunk.
Now, Dave, you going to show them the height corrector stuff?
If they want to hang around and see that after I remove, after I remove the tire, they can see it when I come back. It depends on. I don't know how many people here want to. I'm going to remove the cover on the rear of mine. In behind this protecting shroud is where the hydraulics for the rear of the car are. Look very similar for the front, but we're only going to show the back just because it's a little more convenient. And you'll be also, with the tire off, you'll be able to see the suspension steers and some of the other workings that help keep this car smoothly on the road.
That's the
I think you're going to let me continue this?
You may continue, sir. You're doing a great job. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use a breaker bar. He's going to use the right wrench.
I'm going to try. I haven't tried this yet, so I always do too.
I just rotated all mine with that wrench. It works.
Go ahead and
I loosen the lug nuts now so the car doesn't turn.
All right, now Dave, you know that long extension as your hand crank is what you put in that to make it easier, right?
Yeah, but I don't need to. Oh, you want to do that too?
Yeah, show them that the hand crank is the help for the wrench if it's too tight.
Yeah, then I got to repaint it.
Just show them without doing it.
You can stick that in there and it gives you a little extra leverage.
You got extra leverage. That also is the hand crank to start the car.
We're not going to do that. We thought about that, but
It's true.
That's a whole nother story. We might have a throwdown later on hand cranking.
if we can figure out how for me to fix my parking brake, I'd do that. But since I have no parking brake, we're not trying.
Okay, so what we have to do next, these cars don't have a jack, so we have to raise the car all the way up. We're going to put the jack stand underneath the, there's a little pin on the sill, and that's going to support the car while we get the tire off. So got to start the car up to do that. If you don't have a running car, you can't change a tire, which is unfortunate.
You can't go anywhere.
It doesn't run, you can't go anywhere anyhow.
Okay, so now I'm going to start the car, and there's a ride control lever along the side here, and I'm going to have the car all the way up to full height.
They have several settings on these cars. There'll be a second ride height up here in a minute. We'll go through the ride heights. Then we'll go to the third, what I call the third ride.
You work on them in your garage.
That's the highest ride height that you have.
Very careful. You never crawl under these without safety blocks. If it comes down, you'll be a pancake.
This is as high as you can drive as a DS model if the suspension's adjusted correctly and have suspension. The next highest would be the one that raises the car to its maximum, and it will take the car all the way up to the stop blocks. And once you know you're up, you'll have zero suspension. Now it rides like there's no spring, no shock. It's just a good old hard riding car. You got yours off?
What's up?
Yours off? Huh? Did you turn yours off?
No, mine's on.
Okay. This is the jack stand, as Paul mentioned. There's a small dog sticks out of your frame right here, and that accepts this section of your jack stand.
Jack stand. Put it right under here.
There's a small notch in there that'll allow you to kind of feel like it hooks in. Now Paul tells me if I take this all the way down to that location, that I'm not going to be able to get the jack stand out to do what we're going to do. So I'm going to have to follow his lead slightly.
Well, if I have this right, yeah.
Yeah.
Find out. I think if I put it there, I'll be okay.
This small tool here goes in the holes, which will allows you to adjust this at whatever height you want normally. One thing you want to make sure of when you let the car down is that your jack stand is over the dog correctly, because it could slip off if you don't let it down with a little bit of finesse. I believe that.
I think I'm on there fine. So now I got to lower the car down.
How did he do that? Oh, I see what he did. He did something different than me. I misunderstood him. He's 2 holes up.
Oh yeah, because if you
There we go. Now we're right.
I think you might be a little too high. We're saying you
Yep.
won't be able to get the tire off.
Still?
Oh, check how high he has it.
All right, we're going to try mine, see what happens here.
Is this one in the trunk? No, maybe the Anderson's got us.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I don't even know if I brought the invoice.
Okay, she comes up.
There we go. It's up enough. So now the wheel's off the ground, which is a little freaky.
Both wheels.
Both wheels are off the ground, exactly. Okay, so again, the jack on these cars is rather odd. Even the lug nuts are odd. Okay, nothing like a normal car. There's nothing normal on these
Uneven
things.
area?
Just the way it is.
His front wheel isn't up, but his back wheel is.
These are just heavy normal cars?
I guess mine would be okay.
Maybe in a little bit of a
Maybe
dip.
because you're on
That could be a
angle.
high point.
I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
Now yours is orange.
It's up now. It's finally,
There you go.
it's just being lazy.
Yeah.
My front suspension has been acting a little lazy here of recent.
It's too cold.
Yeah, well.
Well, these two gentlemen are hard at work. They sort of started without me having a chance to introduce them. Paul Anderson is from Lewisberry, Pennsylvania. Actually a Mechanicsburg address. It's about 15 miles from here. He's owned this Citroën for 4 years. Dave Agar is here from New Philadelphia, Ohio. He's owned his car for probably about that same length of time. We really appreciate them coming and demonstrating their cars. If you have friends on the other side of the show field, let them know these cars are going to be driving through on 3 wheels after a bit, very shortly.
Blow your horn as you're going around.
I like his tires. Keep going and I'll take the tires.
Now the tire's off. I guess since we're not going to hang around, I'll show you how you would put it back on. Because one of the tools we have here is specifically designed to do that. I always try to line my lug nut or my studs up so I got a half close idea where they might be. So we'll put that more like straight up at 12 o'clock. Then the tool, same tool that you would use to give you some extra leverage to change the tire, or shove the same tool in through the front of your car and use this crank and very bravely try to start your car with a crank, which I have not tried.
I never tried that, no.
Some people here have done it and say it works well. I can't give you any information on that. But this tool also serves a very useful purpose. That is, it will fit through this hole, and then it will snug into a hole that the French put in there. Now you have a way of holding the tire, hoping that you can carefully slide it towards your...
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but it works. I'm not very good at that part.
It is on. In the dark, not probably a really easy project to do. And for many of us, after so many times on and off, you'll begin to get some paint nicks. It's all part of life. Now we've got a lot of spare parts out
Dave,
here.
let me have your tire. I'll take it over. I'll sell it.
always, as long as your suspension is good, it's going to ride like the day it was made. What's that? Very fact that Citroën used rolling bearings on the suspension arms. There's never any play with the suspension one way or the other.
Hey, you gonna try to get your jack up under?
Replacing 20.
All right, gonna go all the way up, right?
Well, did you see the bearings on those things? Monster bearings.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna raise the car back up. Theoretically, I'll be able to take the jack stand out and theoretically drive it.
So just watch our toes.
All very theoretical.
I'm making a joke. This is the part now. This car has to come up far.
I did a GS something.
I never did it.
Gotta get the pressure back up.
Yeah, it's got to build
How
pressure.
yours
Yeah.
is, mine settled down into the
You
dirt.
dump all the pressure out.
There you go.
It's just
See it
tight.
moving. There you go.
You shake it up.
Jack sinking in the ground. That'll actually make it easier to pull it off of it.
Yeah, that's
That's actually a good
The
thing.
ground is not level.
Oh, what's he doing?
This is lower.
We speed it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
give it a little
back
goose,
end.
goose it a little bit.
Yours out?
Your jack's sinking too, though.
There we go. It's coming up. Oh, he's got it.
Yep, just barely made it.
Yep.
Normally you don't have a tire off, so you don't have to worry about how the jack's so fussy, you know. Yeah, we're good.
I
Ground
think if
that's
you
not
wouldn't have
level
done it
either.
on a hard surface, it
Yeah, we've been close.
yeah.
Really close.
Now you're coming up. Yeah.
There we got about 3-4 inches there, so we're not going to drive real
There you
fast.
go.
So it wouldn't be really a
Voila,
Highest setting.
barely
Among
made
the
it.
highest, yeah.
The trick to this is going to be, like Paul and I think Paul had two holes showing above his pin, which would be like, so you have a lot of options here. As you can see, this jack will continue on up. I guess maybe that has something to do with if your jack point happen to be in a low spot where you had to change it for some reason. I wouldn't know why, but for him and I, it worked better with just
It's
two
really because
holes.
we're missing a tire that the car tends to droop. Otherwise, you use the top setting.
You could?
Yeah,
All
oh
right.
yeah.
All right,
Because
you
that's
two
what I-
crazoids, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're going to drive around the fairgrounds, right?
Right.
I'm going to call Ed and see if they'll make an announcement for everybody to
So
watch.
we'll wait a little bit.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
well, I'm not driving around until you get in the seat beside me.
You're nuts.
No, I'm
That's
not.
counterbalance.
You're coming with me.
No, he wants to wait. He wants to
You
wait.
want some weight on the right
Yeah.
side? I think it's worth waiting a minute if I
That's
can
fine,
make
that's
an
fine.
announcement.
That comes in handy.
Heads up.
Watch it.
Are you gonna go this way? Okay, sorry. I thought you were going the other way.
No, the car is balanced so that you can drive it.
used to be the healer Dick Warren.
No, you don't have one decent picture. Oh.
It's not the car, it's the street. The,
Are you counterbalancing well there, Brad?
So your tire's missing.